Good afternoon. It is March 23rd, 2024. This is episode 115 of the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast, a podcast by a dreamer for dreamers. I am getting this episode released really late. I try to release the episodes every morning at 8 a.m. because I usually film them the night before, and last night I just did not have it in me. Which, by the way, has actually happened a lot of nights when I didn't have it in me, but I just went and did it anyway. But last night, I'm just like, no, I'm going to sleep, and I'm going to film this tomorrow when I wake up, or after I wake up, and after I'm good and ready. And so I woke up, and I had about 7 emails from one of my clients who I'm helping with and who has paid me a lot of money. And so I definitely prioritized taking care of him. I help him out with his software implementation. And so it was important for me to take care of his needs because he's paying me to do that. And, you know, the old phrase, don't quit your day job. I have not quit my day job, everybody. So you don't need to give me that advice, snarky a-holes on social media. Anyway, so let's see, where am I at? Last night I went to dinner by myself, which I do a lot, by the way, and did a lot of writing. I pretty much just started over. If you listen to my podcast yesterday, I talked about how I've been trying this sort of new thread of material, and it just isn't right. And so I have conceded to just go, okay, whatever it is that I think is funny, the audiences in general don't. And although there were certain things within the premise that I was able to get laughs on, it just wasn't. There was just something off from the beginning. So I've let all that go, and I am now starting over again. And, you know, it's easy to get discouraged. It's easy to be like, all that work, and what did it get me? Why did I do it? If you are on social media a lot, you know that that's a trend going around right now. So anyway, started out with a new idea, a new premise. There's so much of the writing process that I'm still trying to figure out, which is how honest do I be? And I think that is a question every comedian has to really answer for themselves. Is everything that comes out of my mouth more or less the truth? Is everything that comes out of my mouth more or less a lie? Like the two extremes would be like if you're an Anthony Jeselnik fan, right? It's like every joke that Anthony Jeselnik tells, you know, is 100% a joke and 100% not true. Like he didn't actually drop a baby down 4 flights of stairs. Then you go to the flip side of that, which would be like a Mike Birbiglia, where you believe 100% everything that comes out of his mouth is exactly what happened. And he's just telling his story and is doing so in a humorous manner. And if he is exaggerating or something, he telegraphs that he's exaggerating. Or he'll tell an analogy or something, and you know it's an analogy because he says it is. And so there's never a point in time where you have to ask yourself, wait, did that really happen? Wait, is that really true? And I think a lot of comedians, should I speak for a lot of comedians? I'll speak for myself. I know my challenges. I haven't really settled on how honest I want to be. And I'll have people ask me after the show, wait, is that true? Was that true? Did that really happen? Which to me might be an indication. It might be an indication that I need to be more clear on what it is I'm going for on stage. So that the audience is in on it. I don't think the audience wants to feel that they're on the outside of the joke. It's like, no, we paid to be on the inside. We have paid to be a part of this experience and for you to make us laugh, and we want to be in on the joke with you. And that's the thing with Anthony Jeselnik, is the audience is in on the joke. The audience knows that what Anthony Jeselnik is saying is absolutely not actually true, and Anthony Jeselnik doesn't make any mistake about that. And again, with Mike Birbiglia, when you go to Mike Birbiglia, I don't think anybody in the audience is going like, well, wait a minute, does he really have a sleeping disorder? Because I wasn't sure. But then again, even Mike Birbiglia, in one of his earlier routines, talks about how people would come up to him after the show and say, hey, was that true? And he'd go, yeah. And they'd go, was it? So maybe that is not actually, maybe I'm not actually processing that correctly. Maybe I actually am being transparent, because I have become a lot more truthful and trying to express either what actually happened, or if it didn't actually happen that way, then I try to word it in a way that just goes to where I telegraph that and go, yeah, so I was thinking, well, what if this happens? Whereas I think before, in my stand-up comedy, I would be a little more, like, is dishonest the right word? Probably. Like, I was almost kind of doing what Jeselnik does, which is I would say that I did something that I didn't really do. But, I'm just not as good at it as Anthony Jeselnik, or I wasn't going extreme enough to where it was 100% obvious that I didn't actually do that thing. I was kind of in this gray area to where the audience goes, wait, is that what he actually did? Or is he exaggerating? Or is he just making it up to try to make a joke or to try to be funny? So, yeah, that's been, that's where I'm at least artistically, is really trying to determine how I want to share my material. And then it also gets into the whole, the whole argument of, how does an audience relate to me? Like, what does the audience want from me? And then, of course, you can get into the whole debate to where it's like, I just need to be me, and then whatever audience wants to find me, they can find me. And then the other side of that debate is like, I will be whatever the audience wants to be so that I can be successful at this. And, I still don't know what the answer is to that. My personality, though, unfortunately, is not the first. My personality is not like, F anybody else, I'm just going to be me and I'm going to say what I want to say. I'm not like that at all. I'm very empathetic. I'm a people pleaser. I actually want the audience to be happy. And so if what I'm saying is not making them happy, then I get really nervous and I start going, oh no, they aren't happy. They aren't laughing. And what which, by the way, I also acknowledge is a huge character weakness. Well, it's my superpower, and every superpower has its weakness. So, like, my superpower is empathy, and my weakness is empathy. It serves me in some elements, but then there's the flip side, which is being the weak side of empathy is being a people pleaser and not being as willing to be authentic or honest with what I'm actually thinking and feeling. So for me, my challenge has been stepping into the authenticity and saying what I want to say, saying what I think is funny, and I'll tell you, the more that I've done that, I have gotten more and more pushback and criticism, and I've been threatened. I've lost friends over it, or I've had people be like, okay, well, I was supporting you, but now that you're being more this way, I can't support that. So yeah, so there's that side of it as well, which is, okay, so the more authentic I am, I'm going to be more divisive. I'm going to lose people, but then I'm also going to gain the people who resonate with who I really am. And when I say who I really am, it's not who I really am. It's the portion of me that I'm presenting on stage, which is what every performer is doing. No performer is just up there being 100% themselves, because chances are most of the time you don't want to perform. It's a job. It's a performance. It's showing up in a context where there is an expectation that you are going to be entertaining, whether or not you feel particularly entertaining in the moment, which also means excluding saying anything that is not actually for the benefit of entertainment. If I'm just sad and depressed, I don't just go up there and just cry. Not in that context, because that is not the entertainment that the audience is paid for. So there's always that friction between how much of myself do I offer, how much of a performance do I give, how much am I myself, how much am I a personification of myself, or how much am I a character that's not even really myself. You look at like a Pee Wee Herman, right? Like he wasn't even himself. He created a whole character, or like Andrew Dice Clay just created this whole character, and that's what people wanted to see. And you want to talk about divisiveness. I mean, you don't get more divisive than Andrew Dice Clay. I mean, people thought he was either the funniest comic they've ever seen, or they thought he was the absolute most abysmal, wretched, needs to be stopped, picketing. When he was on SNL, some actors quit, I think. He got picketed. I mean, it was like that level of extreme, but that was because he picked a character, which, who knows how much that was actually consistent with who he actually is as a person. But he just said, no, I'm going to go on stage literally as a villain, as a complete, obnoxious, abusive, vulgar, disgusting, masculine, like the disgusting masculine, predatory person. And that's what people are going to find funny. And it blows my mind that people did by the hundreds of thousands. I mean, that guy had a career being that guy. I remember watching one of his specials, from whenever that was, maybe early 90s, I think is when he came on the scene. And I'm just watching this, I'm going, how is anybody laughing at this? But then they kept showing clips of the audiences and people just losing their minds laughing at it. So, there you go. And he's still considered a legend by great comics who got it. So, and in essence, I mean, I get it from a performance, element of, I'm gonna go. What's funny about this character is the fact that this character isn't funny almost. there's this incredibly transgressive character that human beings get to go see this person. Maybe it's because they get to see him in a controlled environment or something. I don't know what it is. I don't even know why I got on Dice Clay. That's not a battle I'm even really wanted to go into, but he's an example again of somebody who did not care about all of his detractors and did what he wanted to do, and it resonated with a significant portion of the comedy audience and absolutely mortified an entire other contingent of people. I don't really have any interest in being that polarizing. That's not what I'm about. But there is a sort of a derivative of that, which is, well, how honest do I want to be? And if the audience isn't laughing, is it because it's not funny, or is it because or is it because the type of people who are going to actually resonate with that don't happen to be in Gilbert, Arizona? And if I was more confident in the material that I'm presenting, would I eventually be able to find my audience, and that audience would be a lot more appreciative? I don't think that's the case. And then there's just also, this joke isn't funny. You know what I mean? Like, just whatever. I'm the other element that comes up in every personality test I ever take is, my empathetic side, but then my analytical side, which is I can just analyze and overthink things to death instead of what I probably need to do a lot of times, to just go like, oh, that didn't work, try something else. But my mind goes into this, I got to spend 20 minutes on 2 different podcasts analyzing it and overthinking it and talking about it. But that's my dream. That's what I'm going through. That's who I am. So you can let me accept me for who I am. Okay. And we'll see. We'll see. I think there are certain elements of the material I was working on that will still work, but I think I just need to change up the whole premise altogether. And that is what I started to do last night. And I already found another way that I think I can start to get to some of the same ideas and some of the same jokes and punchlines, but in a different framework, and see if I have a little bit better experience. So that's what I'm up to today. Sorry for getting this episode out late. I know of all of my 3s and 4 and 5 fans that you were just waiting for this podcast this morning, and your whole life got thrown off because I didn't release it in time. So I will get back on track. Tomorrow's will be back on time, 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I hope all of your dreams are going. If you're overthinking or overanalyzing, let's just try something else and give it a shot. I mean, that's really all there is. Just try something else. Look at it, see what you can, whatever it is that you're pursuing, take a look at it. See if you can come up with ways to improve it, and then move on and just experiment. It really is the whole idea of, the most successful people are the people who have just failed the most. And so it's like, well, fail as often and as effectively and efficiently as possible. And then let's see what dreams come true. All right, everybody, I love you all so much. Thank you for listening. March 23rd, 2024, episode 115 of the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast, and I will check in with you tomorrow on time.